My wife's company dinner, her coworker laughed and said, "How does it feel to be a loser? Your wife earns, and you just sit at home." Everyone laughed, including my wife, except me. I smiled and asked the CEO, "How does it feel to know this loser owns 67% of your company?" The room went silent. Her face turned pale. I never thought I'd be writing this, but after what went down last weekend, I need to get this off my chest. Maybe some of you have been through something similar. Maybe you'll think I went too far. Either way, here's what happened. My name's Easton. I'm 34, and I run a private equity firm that specializes in what we call quiet majority buyouts. Basically, I buy controlling stakes in companies without anyone realizing it's happening until it's too late. Been doing this for 12 years now, built myself a decent empire. Not bragging, just context for what comes next. 8 years ago, I married Erica. She was brilliant, ambitious, everything I thought I wanted in a partner. When we met, she was grinding through a mid-level research position at a failing pharma company, frustrated that her talent wasn't being recognized. I fell for her drive, her hunger to prove herself. Maybe that should have been my first warning sign. I helped her, of course. What kind of husband wouldn't? Used my network to get her interviews, coached her through negotiations, even had my team do market research on the companies she was targeting. Never told her about that last part. She thought she was just really good at picking winners. When she landed the head of clinical operations role at Bioventa Industries 2 years ago, she cried in my arms. Said she'd finally made it. The thing is, I was genuinely proud of her. Sure, I'd made some calls, put her resume in the right hands, maybe had lunch with their CEO before her final interview, but she didn't need to know that. She was talented enough to deserve the role, I just made sure the right people noticed. Our life looked perfect from the outside. The house in Westchester, the matching Teslas, the weekend trips to our place in the Hamptons. She'd post about her power couple life on LinkedIn, always mentioning how supportive I was of her career. What she didn't post was how I worked from home, how I ran my entire operation from my study, how my playing with spreadsheets as she started calling it generated more in a month than her entire department's budget for the year. But I didn't care about the recognition. I never have. The real power isn't in being seen, it's in being underestimated. The company's annual investor gala was last Friday. Black tie affair at the Ritz. Bioventa had just closed Series C funding, and they were celebrating like they'd cured cancer. Erica spent 3 hours getting ready, tried on 4 different dresses. She looked stunning in the black Versace I'd bought her for our anniversary. "You sure this tie works?" I asked, adjusting my collar in the mirror. She glanced over, and for a second, I caught something in her expression. Not quite disappointment, but something. "It's fine, babe. Just try to mingle tonight, okay? These are important people." I always mingle. You know what I mean. Try to sound interested when they talk about the company. Last time you kept checking your phone. I was closing a deal. Just, please. For me? I should have paid more attention to that conversation. The way she said important people like I wasn't one of them. The way she was already creating distance between us before we even arrived. The valet took our car, and we walked in arm in arm. The ballroom was exactly what you'd expect, ice sculptures, champagne towers, a jazz quartet playing something inoffensive. About 200 people, all congratulating themselves on being part of the next big thing in biotech. Erica immediately got pulled into a circle of executives. I grabbed a whiskey and made my rounds, the supportive husband playing his part. I knew most of these people's net worth down to the decimal point. Knew their debt ratios, their spending patterns, their weak points. But I smiled and nodded as they explained basic market dynamics to me like I was a child. Then I heard it. Erica's laugh, too loud, too performative. I turned to see her with a group including her direct colleague, some guy named Wade who ran brand partnerships. He was mid-story, gesturing wildly. So I told him, that's not how influencer marketing works. Wade finished, and everyone laughed again. He noticed me approaching and his grin widened. "Oh look, Erica brought the house husband." The group chuckled. Erica's smile flickered but didn't drop. She didn't say a word. I kept walking toward them, whiskey in hand, letting Wade's comment hang in the air. The group included 2 other department heads I recognized from Erica's endless work stories, plus Tate O'Brennan, the CEO himself, former investment banker turned startup guru who never let anyone forget he'd worked at Goldman for exactly 18 months. "Wade," I said, extending my hand. He shook it with that limp, dismissive grip that tells you everything about a person. "Easton. Good to see you, buddy." His tone suggested otherwise. Erica was just telling us about your, what do you call it? Consulting thing? Private equity, I corrected. Right. Must be nice working from home. Pants optional, am I right? More chuckles from the group. Teo smirked into his champagne. Erica shifted beside me, her hand briefly touching my arm. Not in support, more like she was positioning me, managing me. Easton's been really busy with his projects, she said, but her voice carried an apologetic note, like she was explaining why her dog wasn't fully trained yet. I bet, Wade continued. Though it must be tough, you know, with Erica being so successful. Role reversal and all that. Very modern. Wade, Erica said, but she was smiling. Actually smiling. What? I'm just saying it's progressive. Having a wife who's the breadwinner. Takes a confident man to handle that. He turned to the others. Remember last quarter when Erica closed the GenomeX partnership? What was it, 8 million in committed research funding? 8.5, Teo corrected, raising his glass to Erica. Our star player. Meanwhile, Wade gestured at me with his champagne flute. Easton here is. What's your biggest deal lately, buddy? I took a sip of whiskey. I don't really discuss my transactions. Transactions? Wade laughed like I'd told the joke of the century. Listen to this guy. Transactions. Like he's moving millions instead of managing Erica's portfolio. Wade, come on, one of the other executives said, but they were all fighting back smiles. I'm kidding. Someone's got to keep the home fires burning while Erica's out here changing the world, right? Behind every successful woman is a man. Sitting at home in his pajamas, playing with spreadsheets. The laughter came harder this time. And then I heard it, Erica's laugh, louder than the rest, genuine in a way that cut deeper than any knife could. Oh God, Wade, stop, she said, but she was wiping tears from her eyes. You make it sound so pathetic. The word hung there. Pathetic. Well, how does it feel? Wade asked me directly, his eyes glinting with cruel amusement. How does it feel to be a loser? Your wife earns, you just sit at home. The group went quiet for a moment, waiting to see if he'd crossed a line. I looked at Erica. This was her moment to say something, anything. To show even a shred of loyalty. Instead, she laughed. Harder than before. Like it was the funniest thing she'd ever heard. Wade, you're terrible, she managed between giggles. But honestly, sometimes I wonder what he does all day. I mean, I've seen his office. It's just monitors and spreadsheets. It's like he's playing a very boring video game. They all roared. Teo clapped Wade on the back. One of the other executives made a joke about day trading. Another asked if I needed tips on cooking and laundry. I stood there, whiskey warm in my hand, watching my wife of 8 years reduce me to a punchline for her coworkers' entertainment. This wasn't nervous laughter or social awkwardness. This was her real opinion, finally freed by alcohol and peer approval. Excuse me, I said quietly. Bathroom. Don't get lost, Wade called after me. This place is bigger than your home office. More laughter followed me as I walked away, measured and calm. I didn't look back, but I heard Erica add something about me probably needing GPS to find my way around actual office buildings. The bathroom was mercifully empty. Marble and gold fixtures, soft jazz piped in through hidden speakers. I locked myself in a stall, pulled out my phone, and opened my encrypted folder. The one labeled Contingency Plan, Project Eclipse. My thumb hovered over it for exactly 3 seconds before I tapped it open. The folder opened to a series of subfolders, each labeled with a different shell company name. 14 in total. 3 years of methodical acquisition, and not a single person at BioVenta had noticed. It started as a backup plan, honestly. 3 years ago, when Erica first joined the company, I did what I always do, deep dive due diligence. BioVenta was hemorrhaging cash, burning through series of funding with nothing to show but promises and PowerPoints. Their cap table was a mess. Early employees were getting diluted, angel investors were panicking, and the founder who'd been pushed out still held 12% he desperately wanted to liquidate. I bought him out through Reverent Holdings LLC, one of my shelf companies. Paid him 30 cents on the dollar, a fortune to him at the time, pocket change for what those shares would be worth if the company succeeded. Which I knew it would, because I was going to make sure of it. See, that's the thing about being married to someone on the inside. You hear about the struggles, the wins, the office politics. Erica would come home and vent about investors pulling out, about employees leaving for better offers. And I'd listen, supportive husband that I was, while quietly buying their shares through different entities. Marcus Zhao, early engineer, needed money for his mother's cancer treatment, acquired 4% through Pinnacle Ventures. Janet Rodriguez, burned out CFO, wanted to start fresh in Costa Rica, grabbed her 6% via Meridian Capital. The law firm that accepted equity instead of payment during the lean times, purchased their 8% stake through 3 different proxies when they needed cash for a merger. My phone showed the current tally, 67.2% ownership of Bioventa Industries, spread across 14 entities, all tracing back through a Byzantine structure of holding companies to me. Total investment, $3.8 million. Current valuation after Series C, $47 million. But the shares were just leverage. The real weapon was in the other folder, insurance. 18 months of forensic accounting. Emails obtained through a PI I'd hired to investigate corporate irregularities, technically true, just not the way Erica thought when I mentioned having concerns about her company's books. Screenshots of Slack conversations Wade thought were deleted. Recordings from investor calls where Telltales promised things that weren't just optimistic, they were fraudulent. The best part? The paper trail led right through Erica's department. She'd signed off on clinical trial reports that had been adjusted. Approved vendor contracts that kicked back to Wade's side hustle. Endorsed research data that we both knew had been cherry-picked. I made 3 calls. First, Howard Kim, my attorney. Howard, it's happening. File the Schedule 13D with the SEC first thing Monday. Make sure every I is dotted. You're sure about this, Easton? Once we file, there's no going back. I'm sure. Second call, Patricia Volkov, forensic accountant who'd helped me unravel Theranos-level fraud at 2 previous acquisitions. Patricia, remember that package we discussed? Send it to the contacts we identified. All of them. The journalists too? Especially the journalists. But embargo it until Monday afternoon. Third call was the interesting one. Diana Cross, Bioventa board member who'd been frozen out by Telltales boys club mentality. She'd been looking for leverage to force changes. Diana, it's Easton. You're at the gala, right? In the parking lot, about to leave. These things are insufferable. Don't leave. In about 10 minutes, I'm going to show Telltales something that will require an immediate board meeting. You'll want to be there. Easton, what did you do? What I always do. I bought the company. Silence. Then, how much? 67%. Jesus Christ. Does Erica know? She's about to. I hung up, flushed the toilet for show, and washed my hands slowly. In the mirror, I didn't recognize my own expression. Not angry, not hurt. Just empty. Like something had finally died after a long illness. I walked back to the ballroom, stopping by the coat check first. Retrieved my jacket, Armani, the one Erica said made me look like I was trying too hard, and pulled out a manila folder from the inner pocket. The ownership documents, notarized and verified. The group was still there, still laughing. Telltales was mid-story about his Goldman days. Wade was recording it on his phone, probably for his sad LinkedIn influence campaign. Erica saw me coming and made a face like finally, what took you so long? I walked up to them, smiled, and asked Telltales a simple question. How does it feel to know this loser owns 67% of your company? The silence hit like a physical force. Wade's phone drooped in his hand, still recording. Someone dropped a fork 3 tables over, and it rang out like a gunshot. Telltales laughed, that nervous Goldman laugh he probably perfected during his 18-month stint. That's funny, Easton. Good one. I pulled out the manila folder, removed the documents, and handed them to him. Schedule 13D filing. Being submitted to the SEC Monday morning. 14 different entities, all consolidated under my control as of. I checked my watch, 43 minutes ago when the last transfer cleared. His hands shook as he read. I watched his eyes track the numbers, the signatures, the notary stamps. His face went from pink to white to gray. This is impossible, he whispered. The board would have. The board didn't know because I bought from individual shareholders. Your cap table is a disaster, Telltales. You never cleaned it up after Series A made it easy to pick off shares one by one. Wade stepped forward. This is BS word. You can't just. I pulled out my phone, swiped to the insurance folder, and turned the screen toward him. Wade, before you say another word, you should know I have screenshots of every inflated influencer metric you've reported. Including the ones where you created fake engagement data to justify your marketing spend. The 50 grand that went to your personal consulting company? The one registered to your girlfriend's address? I have those invoices too. His mouth opened and closed like a fish. Easton, what are you doing? Erica's voice came out strangled. My job, I said, not looking at her yet. Telltales, should we discuss the GenomeX partnership? The one where you promise them exclusive access to proprietary data that doesn't exist? Or maybe the Series B documents where you claim to have 11 patents pending when you only had 3? The crowd around us had grown. Board members, investors, employees, they formed a circle like kids at a schoolyard fight. Diana Cross pushed through, her expression carefully neutral. I also took the liberty of sending everything to the SEC whistleblower office about an hour ago, I continued. And to 3 journalists who specialize in biotech fraud. They're holding the story until Monday, but that can change depending on how tonight goes. You son of a, Telltales started. Telltales. Diana's voice cut through. Is what he's saying true? Diana, this is obviously. I pulled out another document. Email from you to Wade, dated 6 months ago. Quote, just massage the numbers like we discussed. The auditors won't dig that deep. Unquote. More gasps. Someone was definitely filming now. Good. Erica grabbed my arm, her nails digging in. We need to talk. Now. Privately. No, I said, finally looking at her. We're past that. You wanted me to mingle with important people, remember? Well, as majority shareholder, I'm the most important person in this room. And I'm calling an emergency board meeting. You can't, Telltales started. I can. Check your bylaws. Any shareholder with more than 50% can call an immediate meeting. Diana, you're here. Richard, I nodded to another board member I'd spotted, you too. Pri is over by the bar. That's quorum. Erica's hand was still on my arm. Easton, please. Whatever you think you're doing. I pulled up one more file on my phone. A photo. Erica and Telltales, very cozy at what looked like last month's conference in Miami. The one where she'd said spouses weren't invited. I know exactly what I'm doing, I said quietly, just for her. Her hand fell away. The color drained from her face as she understood the scope of what was happening. The conference room, Diana said, taking charge. Hotel management won't mind if we use it for an hour. Telltales, Wade, Erica, you'll want to attend. Richard, can you get Priya? And someone should call legal. Legal won't help, I said, tucking the documents back into the folder. But call them anyway. They'll want to hear this. As people started moving toward the conference room, Telltales made one last attempt. You're destroying everything we built. The company, the jobs. No, I said. I'm saving the company from you. The 300 employees who aren't involved in your schemes? They'll be fine. Better, actually. It's just you 3 who should be worried. I started walking toward the conference room, then turned back. Oh, and Telltales? That loser comment? You might want to workshop better material. Including you, sweetheart. The conference room was all glass and chrome, overlooking the city lights. Diana had hotel staff bring in water and a recorder. The board members sat on one side, Telltales, Wade, and Erica on the other. I remained standing. This is illegitimate, Telltales' lawyer said over speakerphone. You can't ambush. Actually, he can, Diana interrupted. I've reviewed the bylaws. Majority shareholder rights are clear. Easton, the floor is yours. I opened my laptop, connected it to the room screen. Let's start with the forensic audit my team completed. Page 1, Wade's marketing department. The screen filled with spreadsheets, invoices, wire transfers. Wade's jaw tightened as his greatest hits played out in real time. 38 influencer campaigns, I narrated. 26 were completely fabricated. The influencers either didn't exist or had fewer than 1,000 real followers. The money, $1.2 million total, went to 4 different companies. All registered to addresses connected to Wade or his girlfriend. That's defamation. It's math, I cut him off. Your girlfriend's company, Qley Marketing Solutions? Here's the state registration. Here's her signature. Here are the invoices you approved, paying her company for work that was never delivered. Diana leaned forward. Wade, is this true? Wade looked at Telltales, then at the table. His silence was answer enough. Page 2, I continued. Clinical trial data. Erica's department. My wife straightened in her chair. Easton. Trial BV 447. Reported 73% efficacy. Actual efficacy based on raw data, 31%. Who signed the adjusted report? I clicked to the signature page. Dr. Erica Chen Morgan, Head of Clinical Operations. Those adjustments were standard statistical. They were fraud. I pulled up an email chain. Here's you discussing with Telltales how to present the data more favorably for Series C investors. Here's the actual statistician's resignation letter, saying he refused to be part of, quote, deliberate manipulation of trial results. Richard, the most senior board member, removed his glasses. Jesus Christ. It gets worse, I said. Telltales, your turn. The former Goldman Wonder Boy had gone silent, calculating his exits. I didn't give him time. Patents. You claimed 11 in the Series C deck. You have 3. The other 8? Applications that were rejected or never filed. But you needed those numbers to hit the valuation target, didn't you? The one that triggered your acceleration clause and made you an extra $4 million. This is taken out of context. Securities fraud doesn't have context, Telltales. It's binary. You either lied to investors or you didn't. I clicked to the next slide. Speaking of investors, should we discuss the side letter agreements? The ones where you promised board seats to investors without board approval? Or the consulting fees you've been paying yourself through a Cayman entity? Priya, who'd been silent, finally spoke. How long have you known about this? 18 months for most of it. The Cayman structure I found last week. And you didn't report it immediately? Telltales seized on this. That makes you complicit. I reported it today. After securing control to ensure you couldn't destroy evidence or flee. Every email, every document, every transaction has been preserved and submitted. The FBI's white-collar division will have it Monday morning. The room went arctic. FBI? Wade's voice cracked. Securities fraud over 5 million triggers federal jurisdiction. You're at 12 million, conservatively. Diana stood. I motioned for immediate suspension of all 3 executives pending investigation. Seconded, Richard said. All in favor? Every hand went up except the 3 accused. Motion carried, Diana said. Security will escort you out tonight. Your access badges are revoked, your company accounts frozen. You can't, Telltales started. We just did, Diana said. Easton, as majority shareholder, I assume you have a plan for leadership transition? I do. But first, there are some personal matters to resolve. I reached into my folder and pulled out the last set of documents. 3 copies. I slid one to each of them. Severance agreements. Sign, and you get 6 months' salary and no criminal referral from the company. The FBI will do what they want, but we won't pile on. Don't sign, and we pursue full clawbacks and criminal complaints. Wade signed immediately, his hand shaking. Telltales read every line, jaw grinding, then signed. Erica stared at hers. This has additional pages. Yes, I said. Yours is special. Sign those first, then we'll discuss the rest. She flipped to the additional pages. Her face went white. What the hell is this? It's a postnuptial agreement, I said calmly. And behind that, divorce papers. Already filed with the court this afternoon, but I wanted you to have the courtesy of signing them yourself. The room went silent. Even Diana looked uncomfortable. Wade and Telltales started to stand. Stay, I said. You should hear this. Might help you understand why I'm being so generous with your severance. I pulled out my phone, swiped to a folder marked Miami, and placed it on the table. Photos. Erica and Telltales at dinner. Erica entering Telltales' hotel room. Timestamped 11:47 p.m. Her leaving at 6:23 a.m. The conference where spouses weren't invited, I said. My investigator was very thorough. Erica's hands trembled. Easton, I can explain. No need. The affair isn't why we're here. I would have forgiven that. Maybe even worked through it. People make mistakes. I pulled up another photo. This one from 3 weeks ago. Erica and Telltales at a cafe, looking at documents. But this? This is you two planning how to dilute my shares if I ever invested in the company. Telltales, you knew who I was. You knew what I did for a living. And you worked with my wife to keep me from buying it openly. Telltales' face went from pale to green. That's not, your laptop is company property, Telltales. IT pulled everything this afternoon on Diana's authorization. The emails are fascinating. Erica calling me pathetically eager to feel important. You suggesting she keep him distracted with the house husband routine. The jokes about how I'd never figure out the company's real structure. I looked at Erica. You knew I was building something bigger than Bioventa. You knew my firm's portfolio. And you still stood there tonight, laughing with them, calling me a loser. Not because you believed it, because it was fun. Because it made you feel powerful. I never meant. Sign the papers, Erica. She picked up the pen, then stopped. The house? Mine. Inherited from my father, never transferred to joint ownership. My car? Leased under my company. My retirement accounts? Yours. I'm not a monster. Plus the 6-month severance. Should be enough to start over. Start over? She laughed bitterly. You're destroying my career. Who's going to hire me after this? Someone will. You're talented. Just maybe work on the ethics part. She signed. Quick, angry strokes. Telltales and Wade sat frozen, probably calculating their own futures. There's more, I said. The company needs new leadership. Diana, I'm proposing Keiko Tanaka as interim CEO. Erica's head snapped up. Keiko? She's just a research director, who you repeatedly blocked from promotion because she, quote, didn't understand corporate dynamics. She has 2 PhDs, 15 patents, and the entire R&D team's loyalty. She'll do better than any of you. Diana nodded. I'll support that nomination. The other board members? I asked. After tonight? They'll support anything that distances them from this mess. I gathered my documents. Then we're done here. Security is waiting outside to escort you 3 out. Your personal items will be shipped to you. Wade practically ran for the door. Telltales followed, already on his phone with his lawyer. Erica stood slowly. Was it worth it? She asked. Destroying everything for your ego? My ego? I almost laughed. I did this quietly. Professionally. No drama, no scenes. You 3 destroyed everything when you decided fraud was acceptable. I just documented it. She walked to the door, then turned. I loved you once. I know. I loved you too. But you loved the image more. The successful wife with the supportive husband who knew his place. Problem is, my place was always above yours. You just never looked up. She left without another word. Diana, Richard, and Priya stood to leave. Diana shook my hand. The company's yours. Don't let us down. I won't. I never wanted to run it anyway. I just wanted to own it. 20 minutes later, I sat in my car in the parking garage. 3 text notifications. Howard, filing complete. You're officially disclosed as majority owner. Patricia, journalists have everything. Embargo lifted Monday 2 p.m. Diana, board approved Keiko. She accepted. Also, Erica just tried to withdraw company funds. IT blocked it. I deleted Erica's number from my phone. Then I drove home to my empty house, poured myself another whiskey, and sat in my study. The monitors Erica mocked showed my portfolio, 43 companies, 2.3 billion in assets under management. The loser won. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you really like our videos, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.